Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Sherlock review. This is going to be a review for the one-off episode slash special, The Abominable Bride. And yeah, so overall, I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was, fun, entertaining, always great to see these characters again, that sort of thing. Just getting to another episode of Sherlock is always a good thing. The problem was that I don't feel the episode really came together all that well. A lot of people have talked about how, wait, what was the episode even about? I wasn't so confused that I was just I didn't get what was happening. I just felt that the episode got really kind of muddled in itself in the writing and all of the stuff it was trying to do. It was trying to be a bit too clever with the way it pieced everything together. And there was just a point where I was just early on, I was like, if they're going in the direction I think they're going, this is actually written amazingly well. And they were going in that direction for a good part, so I was interested. And then I felt like the episode just hit a point where it just got lost. It just absolutely lost track of everything it was trying to do. And it came out of the episode feeling like it didn't really accomplish anything. If you asked me to tell you, Morgan, what was The Abominable Bride about? I actually don't know. I wouldn't know what to say to you. Because it was this weird collection of they kind of solved the case from 100 years ago, but they didn't really, because they seemed to hint that Sherlock was kind of solving it, but also kind of making up parts of it. So that wasn't really ultimately what it was about, even though it's the name of the episode. In that I don't feel we got an amazing resolution on that. And then, given the reveal that, oh wait, it wasn't just a Victorian special, unrelated to everything else, that it was Sherlock trying to solve this thing, kind of on the plane, trying to figure out the whole how's Moriarty back situation. Even then, I don't feel like they really progressed anything, in the sense of I end the episode feeling okay, season 4, and I felt basically the exact same way at the end of season 3, in terms of I really want to see what they're doing with this whole Moriarty is kind of back thing. They potentially kind of reveal to us that oh yeah, all you guys speculating out there about how Moriarty could have survived, yeah, you can't really survive a gunshot wound like that. He's dead, but he's also back. It's just that's the exact same mystery that we're left with. Um, and I suppose the only real thing here is just yeah, you're not going to find a theory about how he survived. And it was just kind of weird in that sense. And, to some extent, yeah, it was cool the way they used Moriarty in Sherlock's kind of drug-induced kind of attempt to solve the mystery. But even then, I feel that was probably the point when they started heavily introducing Moriarty into the visions, that it kind of, the episode lost all its kind of coherency, in that all of a sudden it wasn't we were actually trying to solve this case and this stuff and this is real. It suddenly became more about, he's on drugs, look, he's seen Moriarty everywhere, and he's kind of meant to represent the bad parts of Sherlock and the drug addiction and this sort of stuff. And it was this weird thing where they were honestly trying to solve the mystery, but they were also trying to show you the way these characters mean to Sherlock, and kind of have these kind of more meaningful aspects in the Victorian times. So the episode just got very lost in what it was trying to do. I felt like if they had conveyed what probably is a really amazing writing idea and ultimately a probably really cool episode, if they could convey it much better to the audience, there was something here. But I don't feel this episode really accomplished that kind of at all. In that, coming back to what I said, it's definitely the episode that I feel has the least kind of identity in terms of what it was about. With all the other episodes what they were about. A Study in Pink, it's our intro episode. We get the case with the taxi driver, blind banker. You get a case. It's literally probably one of the only episodes that is kind of literally just a case, and they kind of do something around that, and it's fun, but not like life changing sort of thing. The Great Game, bunch of different mysteries all leading up to Moriarty, and then even going to season 2, you do some stuff, and it's really like only like last episode of season 2 and all of season 3 that it starts to get like very character focused and less focused on the cases, but you still each episode has their own identities, like the reunion of John and Sherlock, the wedding episode, the Magnuson episode. This one is just kind of like, yeah, it was this weird Victorian spin-off thing that Sherlock tried to solve in his head when he was on drugs, and yeah, he still has a drug problem, but we're also trying to hint at stuff that Sherlock has kind of figured out in his head, but we're seeing in the Victorian times, and Moriarty is dead, but he's also back, but just be clear, he is dead, and all this other sort of stuff. It just left me just feeling like that was almost kind of like a waste of an episode in the sense of like I would have kind of almost preferred this to just be a random case, set it in modern times, have it be set like before episode 3 or something like that, or in between season 1 and 2, but just have it be a fun case and we get to see them solve it, not have any of these real life changing kind of dramatic moments happen. Because it's clear that they're keeping all of the big character stuff for the actual season 4 to resolve, but that's a long way away. And so they tried to do this thing where they sort of made it a Victorian special, but also sort of gave you some setup for season 4. I would have just preferred another case, because ultimately, if I had an overall problem with Sherlock, the BBC Sherlock, it'd just be that like there's so few episodes that how dramatic the episodes are getting in kind of recent times. It's kind of like slow down a bit there. Like you've had like Sherlock go through like 4 episodes of like just life changing stuff, like big massive events happening in his life. Can we actually go back and just have him solving a case? Because we haven't really had that all that much in the grand scheme of things. Like we've had 9 and like a third episodes with the kind of Many Happy Returns special. I feel like we just need more cases and more episodes. So them making this weird concoction of multiple things just didn't really feel massively right to me. And like, look, there are some cool things in this episode when you kind of look past a lot of the confusion and kind of writing kind of issues, in that like, okay, the whole Victorian thing is kind of Sherlock creating this story in his head, kind of based off the way like John would write a book or his blog, and just kind of characterizing them in the way he sees them, kind of characterizing himself in the way like that John sees him and stuff like that. Like it was interesting to get that, and potentially some like character things going forward. Like a lot of people are reading a lot into the fact that the scenes with kind of Fat Mycroft were like, they hugely emphasized that like I'm going to like how long I have left to live, there's a year or whatever, and the more he eats, the more kind of kind of time goes down, and they're kind of everyone's getting really worried for Mycroft, and then when they cut back to the present, there is this sense of like he's very much looking out for Sherlock. They bring up the whole idea of the list, which they were very quick with explaining, and like I felt they maybe should have like made it a little clearer like what exactly it is. But it's a list of the drugs that he took to get into that state where he could kind of piece together the whole Victorian times thing. And there's a sense of like they're setting up something with Mycroft going forward in his relationship. There was that one shot where they kind of cut to this book and it has like Redbeard in it, which is this big important thing that we don't know a lot about. So that should be interesting. But again, it was such a small and subtle part of the episode that I can't really just like absolutely praise this episode for having that there, because it's going to take season 4 actively referencing this episode for me to really have any sort of like admiration for what this episode actually did. Because right now, as I said, like my prevailing thought is just that I feel the episode was so weirdly written that it just doesn't have an identity of its own. That it doesn't really feel like episode 10 of Sherlock, which it's not meant to be, it's a special, but they kind of also tried to make it be like an episode like uh kind of like prequel to 10 kind of thing, but they didn't really do enough there. The actual case, I'll actually talk about that a little bit. The whole Abominable Bride thing, that was actually like quite good. Like I wasn't expecting to in any way like the Victorian thing because I thought it was just a kind of pointless and needless change. But the whole premise for the episode actually made me quite like the way it was done. That like he was trying to solve how potentially Moriarty could have survived through looking back at this case where apparently the same thing happened with Amelia Ricoletti. And it was interesting, more kind of horror focused case that they were investigating. Again, I feel like the case very much took a back seat towards the second half of the episode, to the point where like I really like I think they kind of resolved what the actual result of it was, but it just, for me, I didn't see the connection, and it just was like, really, that's the explanation, that's the big deduction at the end. Like I don't really know about that. And then like the scene where Moriarty kind of reveals that kind of he's the bride, and he kind of says like, oh no, none of this stuff has happened. Like, really, like they're wearing hats and costumes. Like, none of this is real. Like, it was kind of like, wait, but was the deduction real? What, did he actually solve the case? And then what was the whole thing with him digging up her body, and then like there's another thing underneath? Like, I don't think I ever got the explanation for like why he was even digging up her body in the first place. Like, because he saw the body there, but didn't like check like if there was a gunshot wound, and then he was just looking for another one underneath. I think there was like looking for like where was the other body buried, as a way to sort of explain it, like, and kind of confirm his thing, but he couldn't find it. So what I'm taking from that is that he never actually solved the case. So it was really weird what they were doing with the whole, they sort of set up throughout the episode, with a few of the characters referencing, like the men not treating the women correctly, like John constantly being away from Mary, Molly having to dress up like a man to have the role that she wants and is capable of doing, um, that sort of thing. But then I sort of get what they were doing. That they Amelia Ricoletti was kind of like acting as this kind of like sacrificing herself to promote this, to create this kind of legend that other people could use to kind of show the kind of power of women. It was weird the way it came together, because I didn't quite get the connection, and like, yeah, I think they were trying to aim it more at like John kind of, and like the way he was acting, but the guy that was killed is like the person that Sherlock said he would protect. um I never really got what he did that was so bad to women. I probably missed something in the episode there, but it was weirdly connected, and given that I feel like they never really solved it in the end, it just felt like, okay, the whole idea of this is that you're solving this case, but actually the case isn't important at all because Moriarty couldn't possibly survive. It's just like, then what's the point of all of this? Like, was the whole point of this episode really just to kind of go to anyone theorizing how Moriarty could have potentially survived that? You're being an idiot for thinking that he could have survived. He shot himself. Like, is that what all this episode was really about? Like, it was to the point where like I was frustrated with the episode because I didn't see what it was trying to do, and I haven't seen online anyone really explain in a reasonable way like what exactly the episode was. Like, as I said, it was fun, and I can see what they were trying to go for in the writing department here, but I feel they really missed the mark. Like, um, and I posted like some like really brief, like one paragraph thing about how like roughly like the same thing. I felt like the episode got lost a bit towards the end and didn't accomplish anything. And then like I had someone like respond to me back like saying like, but it wasn't meant to advance the plot, and I'm just like, what was the point of the episode then? Like, I guess it was meant to be a special, but like this is a show we get so little and when it does come back, we only get like 3 episodes. In this case, it comes back for a special, and we only get 1 episode. And I get that it wasn't season 4. They specifically said the season 4 was happening. And in that sense, I went into this episode just expecting a Victorian special, completely unrelated to modern times. And I was prepared to do a very different review if that was the case. But that wasn't what happened. What we got was an episode that had a case set in Victorian times that Sherlock was trying to solve from the present day, and they had some present day scenes. So it was different, and they did set it in a kind of setting immediately after the end of season 3. So to some extent, they were trying to bridge the gap between season 3 and season 4. I don't think they accomplished that particularly well. In that, okay, sure, you roughly have kind of Sherlock's state of mind going into this, and that a lot of characters are worried about him. There's still the mystery of Moriarty, but like I'm like, you didn't need an hour and a half to do that, which is why early on in this review I was suggesting that I think this episode would have been just better as just being a case to more establish kind of John and Sherlock becoming this team. Like, what was another one of their cases that they kind of came together on fairly early on, because it seems like just after basically the first 2 episodes, it's just like, yep, we're close friends, we're doing this thing, we're great detective partners. It's just like, I want more. So I'm gonna end it there because I feel like I'm starting to retread over ground I've already covered. In the comments, definitely let me know what your thoughts were on the episode, and if you could potentially explain any of the stuff that I was confused on, please do. I'm aware I absolutely need to rewatch this episode again. I definitely do. I probably will when the DVD comes out in like a week or two. But I, I, I think it is a problem with the episode that a lot of people have come out of it just being like, okay, it was nice to get a new episode, but like, what? And that is a problem, and I don't think it should require us to heavily analyze, like, from all these different perspectives, what happened during like the flashback, and like what that means, the way Sherlock perceives characters and stuff like that, because they didn't really draw that much attention to that. It's just kind of like us reading too much into it. So I don't know. So yeah, definitely in the comments let me know what your thoughts were, but other than that, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.